2001. It is on this date that terrorists hijacked several planes and carried out a series of attacks that killed over 2,996 people and injured more than 6,000 others in America. One meaning people have derived from 911 is that the events were like an alarm warning the U.S. to take seriously those who threaten its homeland and wish to undermine its global influence. It says appearances of number 911. Now, one reason why 911, okay, they're going more toward that versus what I was saying down in 911, but I think they're going to get to it. One reason why 911 seems to resonate with many who witnessed 2001's horrifying acts of terrorism is its link to emergencies. Since 1968, those in the United States have been encouraged to dial, 911 in the event of an emergency that might require the immediate response of police, fire, ambulance, or rescue services. Now, a few other countries such as Canada and Brazil have also adopted this short dialing sequence for requesting emergency help. Surprisingly, the date of September 11 also plays a unique role in the life and the ministry of Jesus Christ. Because of its rich symbolism, it is highly likely Jesus was born on God's annual feast day known as the Feast of Trumpets. Trumpets was Rosh Hashanah in 5 BC. The first full feast day of his human-based existence, therefore, was the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. In the year of his birth, this period of fasting and worshiping God occurred on September 11th. Christian Biblical Church of God calendar program, it says in parentheses. So the calendar rules used to determine when to celebrate God's annual feast days makes any of the fall festivals falling on or including September 11th. Look at that, 9/11, quite rare. Christ does not celebrate any annual holy convocation on this date until 15 AD, when at the age of 19, the Day of Atonement again falls on September 11th. Interesting, right? 9/11 has a subtle appearance in the King James Bible. The 9th chapter of Ezekiel 11 has 11 verses. It says Ezekiel 9:11 or 9:11, just 9:11. No, colon, reveals the rather unique way God planned to protect the righteous while he executed his wrath against the house of Judea in Jerusalem. The prophet Ezekiel, while living in Babylon as a captive, and it says Ezekiel 1:1, is given a vision by God. The vision shows him some of the abominable sins being committed by those still in Jerusalem, which includes those who serve at the temple. And they make reference at Ezekiel chapter 8. Such perverse disobedience angers God to the extent that he decides personally to punish his people. It says at Ezekiel 8:17, "Have you seen, O Son of Man? Is it a light thing to the house of Judea that they do the hateful things which they do here? For they have filled the land with violence and have turned to provoke me to anger still more." Before carrying out his wrath, however, God commands a man dressed in linen, likely an angel, at Ezekiel 9:2-3, to use a writer's inkhorn to mark the righteous. And the Lord said to him, the man with the writer's inkhorn, "Go through in the midst of the city, in the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark on the foreheads of the men who are groaning and are mourning because of all the abominations that are done in her midst." Now the Lord, after the righteous are marked, then commands a group of 5 men, also likely angels, to execute his wrath. And we look at Ezekiel 9:5-6, where it says, "Go to the city after him and slaughter. Let not your eyes spare, nor have pity. Fully destroy old men, young men, and virgins, and little children and women. But do not come near any man on whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary." So verse 11 of Ezekiel 9, the last verse of the chapter, reveals what happened after God's wrath was carried out. And behold, the man clothed with linen, with the inkhorn by his side, reported the matter, saying, I have done as you have commanded me. Now, we're going to look at the numbers 911 or 911, however you want to say it, in prophecy. The only other time any of the fall feast days, Feast of Trumpets, Day of Atonement, or the 8th day, Feast of Tabernacles, fall on or include September 11th, 9/11, in Jesus' lifetime is in the monumental year he started in his ministry. Now, in 26 AD, after the Lord, turned 30, which would be the acceptable year for a priest to enter into God's service. And we see a reference in Numbers, chapter 4, verse 3, as well as 47. He was baptized by John the Baptist at Luke 3:23. Now, his actual ministry, however, did not begin until actually September 11th, 911 of the same year, which is the Day of Atonement. It is also the same day the Lord began his 40-day fast and the start of Satan, the devil's 40 days of testing and tempting him in the Judean wilderness. Now, the Day of Atonement in 26 AD was also extra special for another reason. It was the start of the Jubilee year, which is announced every 50th year on this feast day with a trumpet, and there's a reference at Leviticus 25:9 about this. It was a year of rejoicing. Under the Old Covenant, slaves were set free, and Israelites rejoiced as land returned to their original owners. And there's a reference at Leviticus chapter 25 as well as Leviticus 27. So Jesus himself confirmed his ministry began on 9/11 or 9/11, September 11th, when the Jubilee year stated. In one of his first messages, and the first one given in his hometown of Nazareth after his ministry began, Christ quoted from Isaiah 61. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me for this reason. He has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal those who are brokenhearted, to proclaim pardon to the captives, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord. And this reference is found in Luke 4:18 and 19. So 911 or 911 is the 156th prime number. Primes that come before it include 883, 887, and 907, and those after it include 919, 929, and 937. In relation to the number 911 or 911, the first place in the prophetic book of Revelation where Satan is linked by name to the incredible suffering that will soon come upon the entire earth is the following. And this is at Revelations 9:11. And they have over them a king, the angel of the abyss. His name in Hebrew is Abaddon, but the name he has in Greek is Apollyon. Now, Revelation 9:11, or 911, offers a threefold affirmation regarding the true identity of the king, who in the end time will be allowed to bring manifold trials on those who have rejected God. And they give reference to, for you to refer to Revelation 9:4. Now, the angel of the abyss, Abaddon or Apollyon, are all Bible synonyms for God's great adversary, the devil. You were just listening to Teachable Moments with April podcast. I truly hope you enjoyed this episode. We invite you to stay connected with us on our other social media platforms: TikTok, Pinterest, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, and now Rumble. You can also leave us feedback in 3 ways: in the Interact Features section on the Spotify app, voice messages to the podcast